Kicking off a full day of Big East hoops from our nation's capital. It is Georgetown and 10th ranked Marquette as we get set for the home stretch of Big East play. Marquette tied with Xavier atop the Big East standings as we welcome you inside Capital One Arena here in Washington, D.C. Matt Schumacher, Tariq Turner with you. This is a Marquette team that's playing like one of the best teams in the country. They've won 5 out of their last 6. But, Tariq, this is a Georgetown team that as of late has been right there.
Well, they've been right there, but they haven't been able to sustain it for 40 minutes, giving up a lot of offensive rebounds and taking a lot of contested shots. Those are some of the challenges that have put Georgetown in a bind. On the other side, Marquette, dynamic offensive team. They average 80 points a game, 50% from the field, and a balanced scoring attack with 4 starters in double figures.
Let's take a look at those starters today, brought to you by Jeep. There's only one. You mentioned it. 4 starters averaging double figures for Marquette. 5 players on this team averaging double figures. Meanwhile, for Georgetown, a change in the starting lineup. The sophomore Bradley Ezewuro will get the start for Kudus Wahab. He is out today for personal reasons. Jake Heath back in the starting lineup as well for the Hoyas after missing a month with an injury in January.
That's a big loss with Wahab being out of the lineup. That's 10 points and 7 rebounds, and a guy that can give you an offensive threat in the paint. So Ezewuro's got his hands full. It's going to put more pressure on Primo Spears and Brandon Murray and Jay Heath, the 3 backcourt guys, to step up their scoring.
Our officials this afternoon: John Gaffney, Mike Roberts, Wally Ratecki. You're right, Bradley Ezewuro coming off a career-high 19 points in the loss to Providence. Patrick Ewing talked about the fact that he's seen a lot of improvement in Ezewuro as the season has gone along. And here we go from Capital One Arena. Marquette controls the tip, and the Road Blues, Georgetown in the home whites.
Marquette's so good at playing with the extra pass, moving the ball side to side and playing inside out. They want to establish their inside game to start.
Here's Tyler Kolek, leads the conference in assists. And now Cam Jones, their leading scorer. Tap back won't go, but a foul on the rebound attempt by Omax Prosper. Patrick Ewing had a chance to talk with him before the game. 4 losses in Big East play by 7 points or less. And he really feels like, Tariq, it comes down to decision-making, taking the right shots down the stretch.
But that's the difference in the game. And when you lose in such a small margin, those small moments of 50-50 balls or not getting a turnover or making the right decision, pass, or taking a good shot are the difference between winning and losing. So he is talking about the little things that are really big things in terms of getting more wins.
It's interesting. Of course, this Georgetown team struggles over the last 2 years in Big East play, well documented, and yet there's still a sense of camaraderie, of energy, and of belief on this Hoyas team.
Yeah, and they played it, they play as a unit, at times, but it's just have a lot of good individual play, but can they be cohesive? Can they get some ball movement when it's not just isolation ball? That's when they're harder to guard, when they're playing together as a unit.
Spears with 5, gives it up to Murray. And the rebound, Oso Ighodaro.
Good defensive possession from Marquette, a contested 3. And now they're off to the races, trying to play in their up-tempo half-court offense.
Spears. And now Murray steps it through and rejected by Ighodaro.
Oh, they built a wall defensively, and Marquette was ready for the penetration and protected the paint.
Kolek with the second opportunity. Mitchell stops and starts, and finally our first points of the contest.
Well, good spacing there, and Mitchell, a very good driver. When he's got a closeout going to him, he's going to attack off the bounce. The shot fake to give him an angle to finish the first basket.
Mitchell, one of a number of players from Marquette, playing in much bigger roles this year. You look at their top 3 scorers for Shaka Smart this year. Last year, they were role players. And this is a team that really didn't have high expectations outside of the program. Tariq picked 9th. They're currently sitting in a tie for 1st.
Not only that, they're very young. More than half of the team are underclassmen, freshmen and sophomores. They've got a really solid core of leaders that haven't played a lot but have improved drastically the skill development, on-court development of these young guys. Iguodala, Cam Jones, Kolek, Stevie Mitchell. The future is bright, but the present is also pretty good. First place in the league right now.
Turnover gives it to Heath. Up ahead to Spears. And the third leading scorer in the Big East is headed to the foul line. Georgetown trying to get its first points as we take a look at Turner's takes for today.
Yeah, for Marquette, it's all about tempo. They score 80 points a game. They get out in transition, score almost 17 points in transition and fast break. And it really starts with Tyler Kolek, their point guard, leads the Big East in assists, setting the tone. He gets them going with his ability to make his team better. And then for Georgetown, transition D is going to be paramount. Because Marquette wants to get out and run, they've got to get back and they've got to limit their turnovers. When we talked to Pat Ewing, he talked about ball security and not giving up live ball turnovers, which Marquette really cherishes.
And that was the difference in this team, in these two teams' first meeting back in January. 20 Georgetown turnovers led to 26 points for the Golden Eagles.
Man, Kolek went off that game, 15 assists, career high, and a team high 30 assists, or 29 assists for the team. A lot of that was off of live ball turnovers.
Prosper puts in a three, the first of the game for Marquette. They were previously 0 of 3 to start.
And that's where Kolek is really dangerous. In the screen and roll, in that case it was screen and pop. And that two-man action with Prosper and Kolek is a very lethal threat. Prosper with a nice catch and shoot.
Zawarro with the two-hand jam.
And one thing as the world brings is power and force. Probably the most dominant physical player on this Hoya team. And when he gets the ball that low, he's looking to do one thing, and that's dunking.
He is built like a middle linebacker. Weighing in at almost 260 and back the other way. Iguodala on a beautiful feed.
Well, the ball reversed on the dribble penetration. They did not want to settle for the jump shot, attacking the paint. The spacing was there, and that's why they're so hard to guard.
Marquette with a top 5 offense according to Ken Pom, and certainly have caused Big East opponents fits at times this year. Winners of 5 out of their last 6.
And defensively, Marquette very solid, making the Hoyas put the ball on the floor and contesting every shot and securing the possession with the rebound.
Prosper pumps and rejected at the rim, met by a Cook. Jones picks it off and pops a 3.
And that's a backbreaker. It's early in the game, I know, but Cam Jones stealing that ball in the backcourt and then knocking the bet down a big 3 just really deflates you if you're Pat Ewing. It just puts you in the bind early on. Marquette with 10 points already.
And an offensive foul will go against Zawarro and give it back to Marquette. Look at this dunk here. Iguodala. A demonstrative jam, and Marquette up 6. And as we talked about, Xavier just losing last night at Butler. That gives Marquette an opportunity today to get a half-game lead on the rest of the field.
It's interesting. I mean, this is why the Big East is such a great conference, because it's week to week another layer to the excitement and the whole kind of energy of the league. And Marquette and Xavier have been at the top. I think they have been the best teams throughout the league in terms of consistency. UConn started out great. They got as high as top 5 in the country. Then they had a little bit of a wall where they hit, and then they lost a few games, and now they seem to be getting back after beating Marquette in their last game. So I think this next few weeks is going to be interesting. I think right now we got 5 teams in the tournament, possibly 6, if Seton Hall can do a little bit more work.
Yeah, right now Mike DeCourcy has Seton Hall as the first 4 out. Still 3 quad 1 opportunities for the Pirates. Backdoor cut, up and under in the reverse for Chase Ross.
That's just great execution. That was a set play out of a timeout. The ball movement was great, and then the cutting was even better with Ross getting backdoor for a layup.
Primo Spears has yet to attempt a field goal in this game.
offensively, Georgetown has had trouble with their execution because of Marquette's defense. They're contesting everything. They're not getting beat off the dribble, and they're keeping Georgetown out of the paint, which is what Georgetown is trying to do. So here's just a beautiful ball movement, and when Kolek dribbles towards a player, he's usually looking for a backdoor cut, and Ross set that up perfectly for the easy layup. Kolek's such a great distributor, and he is the assist leader in the Big East, sets the tone for this team in the way he controls tempo, gets his teammates involved, but the difference is he's also a scorer. He can score the ball, and a great pass here.
Yeah, that's another one. Also Iguodala.
Yeah. They cut and they roll great, and Iguodala is probably their best roller to the rim and their most athletic big around the basket, and that was a beautiful lob pass set up by Ross.
So it's a 9-0 run for Marquette. Spears and Mazzone, a much-needed bucket, the first in the last 2.5 minutes for Georgetown.
And that's Spears' best move, that left-right crossover. He uses that to get in the paint and draw the defense in for the first assist.
Joplin a three. Rebound Ross. Out to Jones. Yes! And that is his second triple.
And Shaka Smart calls it a moon ball because it's so high and arched. Cam Jones with that three-point dagger. It's his second three of the game. And Marquette, everything is flowing right now.
Heath. Floater won't go. Now Iguodala running the break. Ross. Spears almost lost it. Azawaro draws a foul on the floor.
Nice job by the Hoyas reversing the ball a couple times, and when they do that, they're able to get the ball down low a little easier. Azawaro working down low, sealing his man. He had the mismatch on Ross, and that's what you do. You go straight to the basket. Cam Jones tried to double him, but he went through the double and stepped through it with some force. I think Marquette's rebounded and recovered from that UConn loss. The way they've come out with this energy, Matt, I'm not surprised. And Marquette's not a team you want to play off a loss, for sure.
Had the chance to come to the shoot-around yesterday, and Shaka Smart's message to his team was make Georgetown feel you in the opening 10 minutes. Something that did not do the first time these two teams met. Georgetown actually led by 2 at the half in the first meeting.
Another nice job protecting the rim by Marquette, forcing a tough off-balance shot, and Georgetown has not been able to get many good looks.
Now Ryan Mutombo and Jordan Riley into the ball game for the first time this afternoon for Georgetown. Remember, no Kudus Wahab. So Mutombo getting more minutes. Mazzone, that's a three.
And Mazzone is a guy that can stretch the floor and knock down some shots. Good at catch and shoot, got good size at 6'6", and they're going to need his energy off the bench to give them some scoring firepower.
Ben Gold, unabated to the rim.
Yeah, Ben Gold's a good player, freshman from New Zealand, coming off a career high 12 points versus Providence, is showing a little bit of front-facing skill with the shot fake and ability to put the ball on the floor.
Spears really had to work to create that shot. Prosper a three.
Another turnover by the Hoyas. Just sloppy play.
Right back the other way. Marquette gives it up. Mazzone 2-on-1. And now Mutombo fouled on the entry pass. It goes against Ben Gold.
And Mazzone trying to put some pressure on this Marquette team with a nice catch and shoot. They're going to need more of that. And back at it, Gold, the freshman, saying, I got some versatility, put it on the floor. Marquette up 10.
Marquette shooting the ball exceptionally well, 53% from the floor. They've hit 3 triples.
Well, it's all ball movement. The ball doesn't stick when Marquette plays, and that's why they're an elite offensive team. They can all pass it. They make the extra pass, and they pass up good shots to get great shots. They're very unselfish. And then they've got some guys that can just hoop. Cam Jones is a big-time shot maker. Iguodala is a big-time athlete. Prosper is probably the best NBA prospect, if you ask me, in terms of being able to pick and pop and guard as a 3D kind of guy. And then you got the maestro, Tyler Kolek, who Shaka Smart told us is their hardest worker. He's first in, last out, and he's the guy that makes everyone go. That point guard play is so important, as you know, Matt.
A whistle before the inbound. Just wanted to rub the ball off of the perspiration. Boy is only shooting 25%. They are 3 of 12 from the floor with 5 turnovers.
Yep, and everything is going to call an offensive foul, I think, on Mutombo with an offensive illegal screen. Another turnover. And that's been the story of the game so far for the Hoyas, Matt, is not taking care of the ball. He kind of dislodged, set an illegal back screen on Gold, and easy call to make.
Well, turnovers were the issue when these two teams met in January. 20 in the game for Georgetown, and it led to 26 Golden Eagles points. Jordan Riley right into the chest of Sean Jones and draws a foul.
Riley's an athlete. He's the kind of guy that probably thrives better in up-tempo, full-court play, and he's getting some more minutes the last 7 or 8 games, particularly when Jay Heath was out. Good athlete, strong. Sometimes you just got to put the pressure on the defense and just kind of not force it, but be a little bit more aggressive when you're in the open court, and he had the angle to draw that foul.
He's a guy whose role has shifted pretty significantly this year just due to injuries. Went stretches early on in the season where he didn't play at all. Played 14 minutes combined in the first 3 league games, but has now started 9 out of the last 10 for this Georgetown team. And he had 16 against Marquette in their first meeting.
Hey, he's a very good athlete, probably the best athlete on this Hoya team, and New York kid who's only a sophomore, only going to get better.
9-point game, 10:45 to play. 10 on the timer for Mitchell. Kolek. Too hot with the pass to Gold, and it goes back to Georgetown.
Yeah, the spacing wasn't there. Nice thought by Kolek, but Gold wasn't ready for that pass, and probably a little bit too tight. Ball had a little bit too much steam on it, but I just love the way Marquette spaces the floor, and their body movement, their cutting, and then the dribble penetration by multiple guys makes them very hard to guard, and you always got to be on alert as a defensive team.
They have assisted on 6 of 8 made field goals in this game. Heath wiggles out of trouble, left it off the front end, and Mutombo with the putback.
Turnover by the freshman Jones, trying to do a little bit too much.
Backdoor cut. Riley with the cutback. Hello.
And that's what he does. He is an electric athlete. Great pass by Spears off the backdoor cut, and Riley has got this crowd going.
Back the other way. Oso Iguodala not to be outdone.
It's a fun game. I like the pace. Both teams matching each other with athleticism and playing high above the rim.
Spears whips it into Mazzone, and the tap back good for Mutombo, who now has 4 points. His first points since their game against American all the way back in November.
And Mutombo's giving them a lift off the bench, and without Wahab, they're going to need a joint effort. Marquette team also looking a little sloppy the last few minutes. 6 turnovers by both teams now.
How about Ryan Mutombo getting some extra playing time today because no Kudus Wahab.
He hasn't played a lot. You know, he's played 6 total minutes in 3 Big East games. Mutombo has, but obviously not a surprise to see him play more with Wahab being out. Ezeworo and Wahab are the 2 primary bigs left in the rotation.
12 bench points for Georgetown out of their 16. Murray with 5 on the timer. Riley with 3. Kolek scoops it, and also Iguodala rolls it off the window.
You can see how they play off of each other. This is a great decision, great read by Kolek. He got right into the paint, and Iguodala with the beautiful cut. Those 2 guys have done a lot of good things together this year. Bring a lot to the table.
Kolek with 4 assists. Iguodala with 8 points on 4 of 4. Up and under for Jay Heath.
I like the fact that the Hoyas are starting to get some cuts and some offside, weak side action. Nice cut by Heath off the weak side to get that layup.
Jones. That's a 3.
He's just a bucket. I mean, the guy is smooth. He looks like he's not even trying, but he is a dominant lefty shooter. Reminds me of Nick Van Exel. Remember him? The lefty guard who's also from the Wisconsin area. And Marquette with an adjustment now in a 2-3 zone.
The zone almost lost it. Murray a 3. And the rebound, Cam Jones, who already has 3 triples in the first half.
I feel like a heat check is coming from Cam Jones.
Joplin from straight away puts it down. And that is the 5th 3 of the first half for Marquette, and a timeout on the floor.
Georgetown saying, look, we're here to play too. Big time dunk by Riley. But Marquette right back at you with the dunk at
the game. Okay, you can do it. You can do it. All right, you're playing good.
You know, sometimes you got to challenge your players, and Shaka has a really good understanding of balance between getting on his guys, but just encouraging them and making sure they stay locked in. And communication is a big part of team structure, team culture, and certainly player-to-player communication. Shaka talked to us about that before the game, and he really likes the fact that this team, a lot of their players, they communicate, they have their own meetings without the staff. And they did that before this game today to get ready. And you can tell they've come out with the right mindset. These 2 guys right here have done a lot of it, Jones and Iguodala.
Iguodala is 4 of 4. 3 of those at least were monstrous dunks on feeds by Tyler Kolek, who also has 4 assists in the game. And you talked about the ball movement of this Marquette team. They are averaging 18 assists per game. They already have 10, and there's still 7 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah, they share the ball. They take high percentage shots, and they've got some talent. I mean, shooting 60% from the field early on, and you know, knocking down threes, and just the ball movement is why they are an elite offensive team. Top 5 offensive team in the country, by the way, and certainly the best team offensively in the Big East.
Murray with 5, well defended by Iguodala. Heath down to Ezeworo, and he draws a foul with 1 second left on the shot clock, and Ezeworo headed back to the free throw line.
So Marquette is changing their defenses. They were in a 2-3 zone before the timeout. Then they go back to man-to-man here and try to collapse on Ezeworo and double him, or actually triple him, and Stevie Mitchell gets called for the foul.
Ezeworo getting the start today for Kudus Wahab. Wahab not part of the lineup today, out for personal reasons as Jordan Riley heads to the bench and Primo Spears comes back on. Spears, the third leading scorer in the Big East, Tariq, but he's only taken 2 shot attempts and he's 0 for 2 to start.
Yeah, he's going to have to get more aggressive. And, you know, Spears is the kind of player that doesn't need a lot to heat up, but he's trying to find that balance of being a playmaker and a scorer.
Jones, but the tap back goes by Joplin.
Joplin, another guy that comes off the bench and averages close to double figures. He's important to their rotation because he can stretch the floor with a 3, but also do some dirty work like he did there with the offensive rebound.
Heath tried to thread it down to Ezeworo, but Cam Jones deflected it.
Now, one thing you know about Joplin is he's going to take a lot of shots. You know, he's the kind of guy that takes more shots per minute, I think, than anyone when he comes in the game, and they want him to be aggressive. Good effort there on the offensive glass, and another guy that is important to their team because of his versatility. He can play inside and out.
Spears to Ezeworo, and the big fella will make his 3rd trip to the free throw line in his first half.
Ezeworo's getting a lot of action here, Matt. He's getting a lot of touches. He's active around the glass. He hasn't made many foul shots, but we like the fact that he's going up to the rim. And one thing he does do is play hard and play physical. Not afraid to take some contact either.
Coming off a career high 19 in the game against Providence. And Ezeworo, a guy like so many on this team this year that has dealt with injuries, missed 4 games early in the season. Took him a little while to get back into rhythm, find his place in the rotation. This is a team that has had 5 players miss games for various injuries.
Yeah, that's part of the frustration that Pat Ewing has had to deal with as a team that's won 1 league game in 2 years. You have to deal with injuries, players missing games, changing your rotations, and a whole host of other things. But the next guy's got to step up and take advantage of that opportunity.
Kolek spins away from a Cook. Mitchell a second chance. Can't get it to go.
Good second effort by Marquette, but Georgetown, so important that they can close the possession out with the rebound. They've been giving up offensive rebounds to a number of teams. Last few games, they gave up 19 to Providence and 20 to St. John's.
How about that move from Heath? Looked like he was going to scoop it and then twirled the ball to lay it in.
He's the guy that can score the ball. He's averaged 13 points before his injury. Just came back from a hand injury. He's got to be a guy that can put some pressure on the defense, particularly when he can drive.
Kolek dishes to Iguodaro.
And that's where Kolek is at his best. He drives with the intention to score, but he's always looking for his teammates, causes the defense to collapse. And because he's scoring the ball at a higher clip, you got to respect his scoring ability. He just used that to his advantage with a beautiful pass.
A Cook rims in a 3.
Cook. More of a face-up 4 than a guy that plays in the paint. He's got a nice touch from 3 and can stretch the floor when he can get his feet set.
First miss of the day from Iguodaro. Now 10 points on 5 of 6. Home run pass to a Cook. Hammers it in.
Beautiful pass and a beautiful finish by a Cook. And this crowd is excited about the way the Hoyas are looking the last couple minutes.
They've made their last 3 shots at the Hoyas. Kolek around and around we go and flips it up with the left hand.
That's just beauty. You know, he kept his dribble right to the point where he could get that little runner up, and the one-hander just over the top. Beautiful play by the point guard.
He's a guy with just endless energy. Murray gets away from him and knocks down a step back. Extra pass. Ross pays it off from the corner. That's a three.
Good looking shot, and again, Kolek head on the swivel. Knows where all four guys are on the court. Beautiful pass right in Ross' shooting pocket where he can catch and shoot.
Heath back the other way. Curling off the screen.
Well, Marquette's got to be more alert off the ball because that's the second time that Heath has cut from the weak side for a layup.
Ross on the drive, set back by Ezeworo. Now
we got a good game here. The Hoyas not going away, and that lob got this crowd excited. From half court, Spears to a Cook. Above the rim, Marquette up 7. Flip action. Him and Kolek are a handful to guard with. You see the jump from last year to this year. This is a hard-working young man, high IQ, one of the leaders of this team. And to double his production and still shoot 67% from the field tells you the story. Today is a great example. 5 of 6 from the field, dominating in the paint, 10.6 boards.
He only played 38 minutes his first year on campus, then missed the final 9 games with a foot injury. Last year, his minutes mainly came as a role player.
Yeah.
And now this year, he is a focal point in the offense.
Yeah, I remember watching him last year in preseason workouts, and then he just jumped out. His athleticism, his energy, his body. And then Shaka Smart told me in spring workouts before the season, he was the best player on the floor. They had to find ways to keep him involved.
How about Ben Gold for 3? The freshman stepping out. And now Marquette is a team 7 of 16 from downtown.
This kid has high upside. 6'11", the first New Zealander to come sign with the D1 team out of the NBA Global Academy. And you see the skill set, putting the ball on the floor earlier and then stretching it with the 3.
Spears with 5. Spears trying to whip it out to Heath and caught the underneath of the backboard. And then Heath tagged with the foul. That's just the 4th on Georgetown.
Ben Gold, a 6'11" freshman. Very talented, good looking stroke. And he's got the versatility to play inside and out. Probably more of a finesse guy than the guy that's going to pound the paint. But he can put it on the floor a little bit. He can shoot it. And he's only going to get better, just a freshman.
Shaka Smart said he still doesn't know how good he can be.
Yeah, and Shaka told me earlier in the year that he's got a chance to be one of the best players he's ever coached. And that's a big compliment coming from Shaka, who's coached a lot of great players going back to his years at VCU.
He had a couple of very high draft picks when he was the head coach at Texas as well.
Yes.
10-point lead, 1:30 to play in the first half. He backdoor slips it in.
Well, he's been a great cutter today, and all his baskets have come off with hard cuts. That was another good read there, getting to the backdoor area and finishing in the paint.
Heath has 8 on 4 of 7. And he scoops up the loose ball. Spears, spin move, left it short.
That was blocked. Iguodala got a piece of that, looked like, and another great job by him.
Ben Gold up and under. How about the 6'11" freshman showing some finesse?
That's not easy. I mean, he caught it and then he reversed it to avoid the block shot. And Marquette showing why they're so good in transition, averaging almost 17 points with fast breaks.
Murray stops, pops, and rims out. Ezeworo fighting for the board, draws a foul, and that is the 7th on Marquette. So a 1-and-1 coming for Ezeworo. Coming up on the Jeep Halftime Report, we'll break down the first half with stats and analysis, and we go behind the scenes at a Creighton practice. For Rob Stone and LaValle Jordan preview the Blue Jays' big matchup against UConn. That's all coming up next on the Jeep Halftime Report. 8 Big East teams in action today. St. John's and Providence currently playing right now over on Fox. A real opportunity today for Marquette to solidify the top spot in the Big East with a win. Second chance here with the shot clock turned off for the Hoyas.
And they should hold for one. They're going to do a high ball screen. They're going to call a timeout here, I think. Or
well, Wally Ratecki, one of the officials, just looked at the clock, and he's motioning that there's an issue here that needs to be corrected.
The shot clock.
So he's saying the shot clock shouldn't have turned off, and there's actually 15 on the timer. So Georgetown will not get the final possession
no, they
of
won't.
the first half.
And that's
I feel like they should milk it down a little bit here.
No, I mean, they want to get a great shot, and they have had issues when they go one-on-one. They play right into Marquette's hands, but when they get some weak side cutting, particularly Heath, they've been able to score the ball.
Spears, pull up. And 10 seconds for Marquette.
They'll definitely hold for one, obviously.
Kolek, down to Ross. Extra pass, Iguodaro pays it off. An exclamation point on a monster first half for Oso Iguodaro. 12 points to lead all scorers on 6 of 7.
And the ball movement is what stands out for Marquette. 11 assists, I believe, on the half. 54% from the field, showing why they're an elite offensive team and in control. Up 12.
Largest lead of the game for Marquette as we head into halftime in D.C. Today, and they are excited to see their team on top by 12. The largest lead of the game for the Golden Eagles, playing for a top spot in the Big East. Oso Iguodaro, Cam Jones, they combined for 19 in the first half.
Well, they were dominant, and they did it a variety of ways. Cam Jones was from 3, and Iguodaro was around the rim with dunks and slips and rolls to the basket. So that inside-out action has been really good for Marquette. And then you combine that with Kolek's playmaking ability, and that's why they're up the way they are. And on the other side, Georgetown has struggled. Their 2 top guns, Spears and Murray, just combined for 4 points, 1 of 10 from the field. That can't happen if Georgetown wants to win.
And so, Tariq, to your point, what needs to change for Georgetown to get those 2 guys going a little bit here in the second half?
Well, when they get some ball movement, meaning when they reverse the ball and get it to the third side, they get a little bit more fluid motion where it's not just iso ball. When they play iso ball, they're easier to guard, and that's really what Spears and Murray have done in the first half.
Georgetown shot at 45% from the floor in the first half. Cut it to single digits before Marquette went on a mini run, made 5 out of their last 7 field goals to close the first half. And Georgetown has been so close so many times in league play. 4 league losses by 7 points or less. And it comes down to the correct decision making and shot taking, in the words of Patrick Ewing. Heath left open.
Well, they got the shot they wanted because Murray caused the double, but just a bad looking shot by Heath. And Marquette
riding the hand of Cam Jones. He's been hot today. His 4th 3 and the team's 8th.
Well, that one was just too easy. He was wide open, and no one was even near him to contest it. You got to get out and make him drive it off the line and make him play into a crowd. Just way too easy.
Spears floats it to a cup, counted in the foul.
And nice job. And that's the 4th time that the Georgetown Hoyas have been able to score around the rim off of a cut from the weak side. We've seen Heath do it a few times, and there a cook just flashes to the middle of the paint and makes himself a target. And good vision by Spears, who drew the double team.
Spears top 3 in the conference in points and assists. But he has been locked up today for the most part on the perimeter by this Marquette defense.
He has, and he doesn't have to score the ball at a high rate every game. It depends on how the flow of the game is going, but he's got to be a threat. And you got to give Marquette some credit. They have made him a driver into a crowd and corralling him with his dribble and not letting him get that mid-range game going.
Prosper blocked but fouled by Ezeworo, and that is the 2nd on Bradley Ezeworo.
It's another nice job of slipping. The two-man action with Kolek as the distributor, whether it's Prosper or Iguodaro, those two in particular read the defense and either slip or pop. If you're Prosper, you're popping more than rolling, and Iguodaro is more of a short roll guy or a slip screen guy. And whatever the scenario it is, Kolek reads it and he gets the ball to those guys in a position where they can make a play.
His film study is next level from what we've heard, from what we've read. He has Mensa level preparation techniques, Tyler Kolek. Even before the game, Tariq, he is watching film right up until the minute they come onto the floor.
Yeah, Shaka told us he's more of an old soul guy that, you know, deep down would be with his coaches, huddled up, talking strategy, watching film, and just a student of the game. You know, loves to study it and find ways to have success.
Murray, contested jumper. Kolek was there. And now Kolek slips it in past the outstretched arms of a Cook.
Yep, and Marquette starting to run away now with the offensive flow, up 15, and nobody stops the ball. That's the first thing you got to do if you're Georgetown. And Kolek with the easy one.
Well, in the first meeting these two teams met back in January, Marquette went on a 17-2 run midway through the second half. They have that ability, and they've done that to a lot of teams this year. Prosper, and a late whistle comes in, and it goes against Bradley Azuero, and that is his third.
Well, it was late, but it's the right call, and Prosper put the pressure on the defense with a hard straight line drive, and that dribble drive offense that Marquette likes to run, where they have 5 out or 4 out, and Iguodaro can sometimes play 5 out even though he's 6'10". But they play, as Shaka Smart says, they play with violence, and that's the term they use in their program, to play with force and play with energy. And they thought they got away from that in their last game versus UConn, and now they've gotten back to that. This is the kind of flow that Marquette wants to play.
They were really out of sorts against UConn. A season low 7 assists, just 5 of 21 from 3. They have reversed that substantially today. 15 assists on 19 made shots, and they are 7 of 17 from downtown.
There's a little full court pressure. They'll show this sometimes after made foul shots. Another turnover by the Hoyas.
The 9th of the day for Georgetown. Prosper trying to wiggle loose. But now Iguodaro set back by a Cook. Still 15 on the timer for Marquette. Prosper blocked again. A Cook. One more time.
2 big-time defensive plays by a Cook.
8th of 3. Yes. Big-time play. A Cook. Defense leading to Heath on offense.
Well, you like the resilience by this Hoya team, not giving up, playing hard, and using their defense to ignite their offense.
And then Prosper, a crowd silencing triple back the other way.
And this Marquette team just comes at you in waves. They move on to the next play. And Prosper stretching the floor at 6'9" with the 3-ball.
Heath is heating up another 3 back-to-back for the junior from D.C. Now the question is, can Georgetown get a stop? Mitchell puts it in from downtown.
It's simple. The game is simple. Prosper backed this guy down, drew the second defender, and knew that meant Stevie Mitchell was wide open. And Mitchell with a big 3 from the top.
Five to shoot. Spears, kick out, and nobody home. He was thinking Murray was going to zip down to the corner, and that is the 10th turnover for Georgetown.
And The Golden Eagles showing why they're so dynamic, but the defense by a Cook showing some fight, and a double block by the rim protecting the Cook. And the Hoyas are still in here battling tooth and nail, but the Marquette Golden Eagles are comfortable up 17.
Show live 1 Eastern on Fox. You got a pick?
I'm struggling with this one. I am. I'm going with the Eagles. Well, no. Okay, I'm rooting for the Eagles.
Okay.
But I think the Chiefs are going to win. I know I'm kind of hedging myself.
Got to make that distinction.
I'm rooting for the Eagles, but I think the Chiefs are going to win. I love both quarterbacks. I'd love to see Jalen Hurts get his first Super Bowl win as the quarterback. How about you?
We know who you're rooting for in the St. John's Providence game. Right now, the Johnnies holding a marginal lead on the 20th ranked team in the country. Later on today, number 21 UConn and Creighton, 2 p.m. Eastern on Fox. And then we round out Big East action today on FS1, 8 p.m. Eastern. A huge game for Seton Hall because, Tariq, as we talked about at the beginning of the game, right now Mike DeCourcy has the Pirates last 4 out on that NCAA tournament bubble.
Yeah, that's the game. Of the games we're talking about, that is the game. Seton Hall at Nova, they don't have really any margin for error at this point of the season, and they're close. They're like on the outside looking in, and I think they will have a chance if they can win a few more games to be that 6th team out of the Big East going to the tournament. Now
back to your question. A pressing question about the Super Bowl.
Yes.
My pick is Eagles.
Okay. Okay. It's going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be close.
That's all you can ask for a Super Bowl, right? Just be close, be entertaining.
Yep. Andy Reid, all the subplots, the Kelce brothers.
I'm just glad it starts at 6:30 Eastern. That means I'll be able to watch the whole game.
Yes.
And not fall asleep before the end.
Yeah, that's a good time.
5 on the timer for Mazzone. Had it stripped by Kolek, who is then tagged with the foul. That is the first on Kolek.
Marquette is doing something interesting defensively. They're sending the second guy to double when the offensive player puts the ball on the floor. So it's not off the catch, it's off the bounce. It's kind of a delayed double, and a lot of teams do that to kind of throw off the offensive player. But nice read by Mazzone, drawing the foul and going to the line.
How do you combat what Marquette's doing defensively if you're Georgetown?
Well, it goes back to ball movement, and I think for the Hoyas, they've had a few examples of when they can get cuts from the weak side and guys cutting and moving the ball rather than playing ISO ball, which Georgetown is known for. That's when they've gotten good shots, and it's come from Heath a few times, and even a Cook. A Cook has done it a few times, and I think when they can get in the paint, dribble penetration or a post up, they have a better chance of getting an open shot.
Kolek, extra pass. Sean Jones a 3. Unconscious from downtown, over 50% on the day for Marquette.
Sean Jones, another important piece, the backup point guard freshman. Zone responding with another shot, another 3.
Kolek, too easy. Left wide open with the left hand, and the bunny goes. We talked about it. 2 out of the last 3 games, Georgetown has held their opponents to less than 70 points. The issue today has been they just can't get stops against this Marquette team. They are operating with exceptional efficiency offensively.
Yeah, I got news for you. They're not going to hold Marquette to under 70 points.
Unless something miraculous happens here over the next 14 minutes. Kolek does his best to keep it alive. Spears cherry picking, puts it down. And that is his first made field goal. He's now 1 for 7.
Well, they've made him work the whole game, and they've made Spears a driver into a crowd, which is how you want to guard him. You don't want to let him get one-on-one matchups where he can just score it. They're corralling him into the help and doing a good job.
Kolek, 5 to shoot. Iguodala lost it. Mazzone on the floor, and he got a timeout.
The Hoyas are scrapping here. They're not giving up. They're down 16, but
the Hoyas have made 4 out of the last 5. Let's see what they have coming out of this timeout. 13-19 to play in the ball game. Right on the bubble. They have a big one later today on FS1 against Villanova. Two teams that will be desperate for a win. Should make for a really entertaining game. And when you look at Marquette, you know, obviously NCAA tournament implications today because they don't have any Q3 or Q4 losses, which is what today would be. But you look at that resume, those wins against Q1 teams just continue to get better as the season goes along.
I mean, look at them. Baylor, Creighton, UConn. You know, UConn is a 6 net. Those are significant pieces to the puzzle. When you look at the overall body of work of Marquette, and you know, this is a team that was picked 9th last year, you know, and I mean this year. And I think it's certainly right now, Shaka Smart's got to be the front runner for Coach of the Year. And the Big East has done a phenomenal job, and I still think they can get better. Their bench in particular has been showing signs of improvement.
They have a big game coming up this week against Xavier. If this score holds, Marquette will have a half-game lead on the Musketeers when they meet this coming week.
That was an out-of-control shot by Spears. It was almost the same as a turnover.
Ross tried to thread it to goal, tapped out of bounds by a Cook. 13 on the timer for Marquette.
And with Kolek out of the game, Sean Jones, the freshman backup point guard, is running the show, and Cam Jones will do a little bit more ball handling, but they don't have the same kind of playmaking, I guess you could call it. But Sean Jones has done a pretty good job as a freshman coming off a career high, season high versus UConn with 11 points.
First game back after missing 3 games with a wrist injury. And there's Cam Jones floating it off the window.
It's smooth. I mean, he doesn't look like he's even playing hard, but it's very easy for him to score the ball. And that was a beautiful shot right there. And he made it look easy.
Leads all Marquette scorers with 14. That was his first drive to the basket. He had hit 4 threes in the game before that. Nice jump stop by Mazzone.
Nice job, Mazzone, getting into the paint and driving it hard and using the shot fake to get some space.
Prosper draws a foul on Jordan Riley.
Cam Jones, the smooth lefty. Silky smooth.
They've been as good or better defensively, particularly locking down Georgetown's Primo Spears.
Yeah, and it's not just the percentages. I mean, Georgetown's shooting not a bad percentage, 47%, but their primary player, Spears being the main guy, 1 of 8. And they have, even though he does have 7 assists, he has not been efficient as a scorer, and a lot of that has to do with the switching of Marquette. They're hedging on the ball screens. They're corralling him and making him drive into a crowd and really not letting him get that mid-range pull-up, which he's so known for. So it's been an overall good team effort defensively by Marquette.
And it's so hard to create for him because he's the one who has the ball in his hands the majority of the time for Georgetown.
Exactly.
Typically, it's Primo Spears getting to his own spot and creating.
Yeah, you know, sometimes Primo may be better off playing off the ball at times because he's always the point of focus when he's the primary ball handler. And he's probably their best screen and roll guy, but defenses are geared to stop him and make him more of a passer than a shooter, scorer.
Ross, dribble drive, up and under, scoops it off the window with the reverse.
That was just a big-time move by the freshman from Texas. Big part of their bench rotation, 6'4", 6'5", finishing with traffic.
Shaka Smart joked with us before the game. He said, if there is a dude on this team, it is Chase Ross.
Yeah, I mean, look at this move right here. This is an NBA move. Rejects the ball screen and gets right into the paint with a beautiful reverse. What was the term they used with him? Vicious eyes.
Vicious eyes defensively.
Yeah.
Which he's bought into.
That's right.
He bought into that defensive identity, which so fits with Shaka Smart and what he wants to do. But interestingly, Tariq, Chase Ross said he's actually playing more than he expected to this year.
He's a 6'4" freshman, strong body, athletic. And that term, vicious eyes, Shaka Smart was telling us that his assistant, DeAndre Haynes, coined that phrase. And vicious eyes means you're engaged, you're locked in, you're ready to play. There's a look about you that means that you're all business. And that's how he described Chase Ross. So that's the ultimate compliment for the freshman with a bright future.
Prosper got everybody in the air, but walked before doing so, and it's back to Georgetown.
Prosper has done a pretty consistent job of driving the ball hard, and here he just does the first part by getting into the paint, but on the shot fake he shuffles his feet. Easy call.
Wayne Bristol Jr. Spears over and back. And it's been those types of plays that have really hurt Georgetown today. 13 turnovers.
Well, you got to understand, when you're playing from a deficit, as they are, every turnover just takes you a step back. And, you know, the turnover matchup is pretty even, but the turnovers that Georgetown has committed have led to open shots for the most part. That one didn't, but a lot of them have, and particularly in the first half. And Marquette, on the other end, has had some turnovers as well, but they are in control of this game. They're shooting, you know, over 50% from the field, 60% almost, and dominating the ball.
Spears rejected by Gold, but they will call it goaltending. And now the second made bucket of the day for Spears. Maybe he can get going a little bit more.
Well, he's going to have to. That was a nice drive, and here's just a little hesitation crossover. Getting to the paint.
Spears now 2 of 9. Ball last touched by Riley. It'll stay with Marquette.
Kolek has gotten a nice rest here. He's been out for the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes. And as a team, they're still up 16. So you got to be happy with that, with Shaka Smart as the coach. You know, his point guard is general, back in the game and fresh with a nice quality rest there.
Kolek high off the backboard, rolls it down. 8 points, 7 assists, 1 turnover in 23 minutes for Tyler Kolek.
That play right there, that's a play he didn't have last year. That's that running left-hand scoop shot off the wrong foot.
As Zawarro fouled by Prosper on the dunk attempt. 13 foul on Marquette.
Do a good job of dumping it in, and Zawarro just strong with the ball, and a little bit of physicality has never bothered him. He was active in the first half, first couple minutes especially.
All of his points came in the first half until that made free throw with 9:29 left in the ball game. I want to go back to your point, though, about Tyler Kolek and that shot being something he wouldn't have made last year necessarily. Shaka Smart told us one of the big differences he sees in Kolek this year, he's more confident.
Yeah.
Overthought it at times last year whether or not he should look for his own shot or pass to other teammates. This year he's got a really good understanding of what he needs to do.
Well, you can see it in his play, in his leadership, in the way his teammates respond to him. Another beautiful pass, even though Jones didn't convert. But you're right, you know, his confidence is sky high. And the biggest thing is defenses now have to play him as a scorer and a passer. Last year, Shaka said they played him more as a passer, and he was a little bit offended by it. Look, watch this play right here. Off the wrong foot, whereas the world couldn't even time it to jump and try to block it because it was a quick release and it was a scoop shot. And on top of that, he's a lefty, which is a little bit different. So he's really added a few things to his game that have helped his team and himself.
A three. Kolek puts it down, double figures with a second-year transfer from George Mason.
It's never forced. You know, he plays within the game, plays at his own pace, and he's got the whole package as a point guard.
There's been a little bit of swagger, too, especially when he's on the road.
That's right. You can see it.
Little flash of the eyes at somebody in the crowd behind us after that made three. And now he's got a breakaway, 2-on-1. Counted in the foul. Kolek back-to-back-to-back buckets for Marquette.
And since he's come back in the game, he's taken over the game. And it's not just his scoring in the half court, but in transition. Just a beautiful read here, inside out, and then that same running scoop shot with the left, with the contact. That's a big-time finish for the sophomore point guard, playing like an all-league player.
He has the last 7 points for Marquette since checking back into the ballgame, to your point. Closing this game out for Marquette. 12 second-half points after he had 2 in the first.
He is the most important player on this team in terms of leadership, getting them going in the same tempo that they want to play. And we talked about that. We look smart here because this was the key to the game. Play with tempo and control the game from Tyler Kolek.
Cam Jones rims it out, and the putback is good for Prosper. And a timeout taken by Patrick Ewing. The Marquette faithful, who have made their way to D.C., on their feet after this dunk from Oso Ighodaro. From Prosper, rather.
They got it all going. Prosper playing like a prospect as Marquette's up 25.
Their maestro pulling the strings offensively in the first half, playmaking for others. In the second half, it's been the Tyler Kolek show.
He's done it a variety of ways. You start with the playmaking, the passing, leads the Big East in assists, 4th nationally in assists. And then now on top of that, he can score it. And he's doing it in spots, but he's put the pressure on the defense by driving it hard, finishing and knocking down the open shots, and just a complete point guard. And he's done this all throughout the season, Matt. I think he's put himself in a position to be a first-team all-league kind of player, big-time player.
If they keep winning, he's got a shot at being Big East Player of the Year, don't you think?
He does, yes, he does, no question. He's that kind of player this year, and he means that much to this Marquette team. And he's only a sophomore. So a lot to be excited about if you're a Marquette fan or player. And they're back in that zone again. That 2-3 is kind of disguised as a 1-3, 1 high 2-3.
Inside to Ezeworo, uses the body to shield the defender and lays it in. Ezeworo now with 7.
Ezeworo's done a good job controlling the paint offensively. And that's another assist that slipped by Ighodaro, and another beautiful pass by the point guard Kolek.
10-2 Marquette run. Heath. 10 to shoot for Murray. Spins away from his defender and uses the left hand to put it down.
It was a good read by Murray.
Home run pass, Ighodaro. Altered by Ezeworo. Numbers for Georgetown if they want it. And Murray catches it from downtown.
Murray can heat up, man. He looks like he may be a little hurt, limping back on the defensive end, but good looking shot by the sophomore with the 3.
He and Primo Spears have played an incredible amount of minutes this year for Georgetown. Up ahead to a Cook and a 2-hand jam. And a whistle, timeout taken by Marquette. Shaka Smart doesn't like the run here he's seeing from Georgetown.
That's a good timeout. You know, you want to slow the momentum down, and the Hoyas have made a little push here.
7-0 run.
Yeah, and they're not going away. This is a hard-playing team. They've played from deficits before. Most of their games have been from a deficit, and they're going to play to the horn ends. And the last couple plays, they've been able to get out in transition. I think that's why Shaka called the timeout. Settle his team down and remind them that you got to get back on defense because this Georgetown team is trying to run.
In spite of the struggles that Georgetown has had this year, fight has been one thing that Patrick Ewing has not had to coach this team on.
Well, you're right, and it's not a surprise because Pat Ewing was always a fighter and still is. I mean, it's been a tough year for him. It goes without saying. And the effort, the determination to play as hard as you can, we've seen that throughout the season by this Hoya team. And that breakdown there shows you they still have a lot of youth there. 7 players are either freshmen or sophomores. So you can't have it all in one year, but this is a team that you can't fault their effort. They've played hard every game.
Brought in 9 new players this year, 7 in the transfer portal. And now some full court pressure from the Hoyas.
Kolek out again. He'll get a breather and come back in to close the game out.
6 minutes to play. 7-0 run for Georgetown, down 18. Ross with the right hand and the rimmed out.
Good play call. That was a misdirection ISO play for Ross to get the shot. Even though it didn't finish, it was a well-executed play.
Cook had it jarred loose, picked up by Ben Gold. We saw them, Marquette, hold the whiteboard with the number of deflections during the last timeout. I know that's something you really appreciate about Shaka Smart.
Well, it tracks their defensive intensity and their activity on the defensive end. Their goal is to get 32 deflections a game, and they're right there with 30. So it's an important stat to track, and a lot of teams track it to measure their aggressiveness, their activity in that gap help spot in particular, which is a big part of the defensive philosophy for Marquette.
And that man on the left side of your screen just then, Oso Ighodaro, leads this team in deflections this year.
He's got that length and that switchability to guard pretty much 1 through 5. Definitely helps your team defensively.
8 to shoot. Joplin gives it up to Sean Jones. Step back 3. Yes.
Just great execution. You know, they worked the clock. They didn't take a quick shot. And then right when the clock is winding down, they took a shot under control. The freshman Sean Jones has been impressive off the bench.
Marquette's three-point shooting better this year than last year. Today, it's incredible. 48% from downtown on 13 of 27.
Yeah, and most of it has come off the pass, and that's why they're such a good offensive team. They don't play one-on-one ball. They play team ball. They move it. They share it. They're unselfish, and they've got capable shooters. At least 4 or 5 guys that can knock the 3 down pretty consistently. So this is why they're such an elite offensive team.
They had 9 players against Georgetown in the first meeting score 7 points or more. Today they have 6, with a couple hovering right around 7 points. There's such a balanced attack for the top 5 offensive team in the country.
You can tell watching them play that they don't care who scores or who has the high score or what any of that. This is a team that's connected. They play to win. They play the right way.
Double on Ezeworo. Cook gets it out. Heath a 3. Wayne Bristol Jr., a third opportunity for Georgetown, and Spears draws a foul on a fadeaway jumper. And that takes us to the under 4 media timeout. Marquette on top by 21 in the driver's seat. And a win today gives them sole possession of first place in the Big East. Second year in a row, Tariq picked 9th in the league. And listen, you can understand that a little bit because of all they had to replace from last season. They have role players now in prominent positions. But so impressive what this team has been able to do and what Shaka Smart and his staff have developed this program into in year 2.
Yeah, it's been a huge jump and a huge surprise to a lot of people because a lot of their players last year were either not here or they were freshmen. I mean, they have 7 or 8 freshmen and sophomores on this team. And most of the guys that were here last year weren't in the roles they're in now. So it's a lot of unknowns. But Shaka Smart's done a phenomenal job of skill development, getting these guys to be in these roles. Cam Jones, Iguodaro, Kolick, Stevie Mitchell, who we haven't talked a lot about, but is just a really good role player as a sophomore, started every game this year. And then the freshmen they've come in have gotten better throughout this season. So you've seen improvement in the way they play, the way they share the ball, their dynamic offensive team. It's just a team that's been excellent, and just very high-level playing team.
Chase Ross buries a 3. Marquette, 14 of 28 from downtown. This is a team averaging 35% from distance in league play. And today, 50% from beyond the arc as Mutombo has a chance at the and one. He had 4 points in the first half. And now getting some minutes here late.
And back to Marquette, they had 29 assists versus Georgetown in their earlier matchup in January, and now they have 23 assists. And that is not, an anomaly. This is how Marquette plays. And the passing, the ball having energy, giving each other the open shot, the open pass is why they are, I think, a team that has a chance to be playing in the second weekend in March.
I was just going to ask you that, because this is a program that hasn't been to the second weekend in some time. You got to go all the way back to the Buzz Williams era, the last time this team made the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. Bounced in the first round last year.
Well, I say that also because of their depth. I mean, they play 9 guys, and the freshman Golds and Sean Jones and Ross have all gotten better. And then you add Joplin to the mix as a scorer. You got a solid rotation of 9 guys. Ross looked like he might have rolled his ankle there.
One of the first things Shaka Smart did when he got to Marquette, as Chase Ross is met at the rim by a Cook, was take down in the hallway of the Al McGuire Center the list of all the individual accolades from over the years in the program and replaced it with pictures of teams that have achieved great success. The last photo is of the team that made the Elite 8 under Buzz Williams. And there is a frame hanging next to that that is empty, waiting for this team to make its mark in program history.
A lot of symbolism there. This is a great block by Cook. He's had 3 blocks, big-time blocks today, and been one of the bright spots for the Hoyas defensively. But, Matt, back to your point, Shaka Smart is a visionary. He's a guy that likes to set the tone in a way that he's going to let you know that he's all about team, he's all about culture, and he wants to establish an identity of winning, but doing it in a team way, because that's all his teams have done that, going back to VCU, where he had a high level of success, and then moving on to Texas, where he took that team to that program to the tournament a few times, and now Marquette back in his home state, Wisconsin, and having a phenomenal year in his second year here.
So they handle business today against Georgetown. And around the corner for the Marquette Golden Eagles, 2 huge games. Xavier, who is now coming off a loss against Butler. Marquette will have a half-game edge on the Musketeers at the top of the league standings. And then they go out to Omaha to take on a Creighton team that seems to be trending at just the right time.
Oh, yeah, they are. This is a Creighton team that is back to what we thought they would be in the early part of the year before Kalkbrenner got hurt. And with Nembhard playing the way he has as a point guard, they have a lot of pieces to make a run.
Meanwhile, for Georgetown, obviously this season is what it is. They'll fall to 1-14 in league play. But there's always the tournament.
Yeah.
And that is an entirely new season. Everybody comes in. It doesn't matter what the records are. We saw that a couple of years ago when Patrick Ewing led a team with a losing record in the regular season Big East play to a tournament championship.
Yeah, and that's not too far away from Pat's memory or the Georgetown fan base memory. And you look at their upcoming schedule, and there's no easy games or any games that he can take for granted here. And he knows that. But talking to Pat, he feels like there's still a window of time for them to move up the rankings of this conference. And like you said, the Big East tournament is like a fresh start.
James Ross saves it to Prosper. Joplin a three. Why not? It has been that type of afternoon for the Golden Eagles. 15 triples for Marquette.
And I keep going back to the spacing. The spacing is always really good for Marquette. And when you have shooters and unselfish play, that's a perfect combination.
Their 15 threes ties a season high. They had 15 in a win against DePaul back on January 28th. We were wondering what type of response we would see from a Marquette team that was outmanned, outforced, out-hustled against UConn. This is the response Shaka Smart wanted to see.
Well, I wasn't surprised. I know you weren't. I mean, Shaka Smart was very confident in the pregame when we talked to him before the game in the locker room, and he said, look, I have a team with players that hold themselves accountable. And they had their own meeting amongst the players and were ready. They were locked in. They had their own conversations. They still did the film study. They learned what they needed to do better after the UConn loss, playing with violence, playing with aggression, playing with more force. And that has all come together today in a really impressive performance by the Golden Eagles.
And a foul against Wayne Bristol Jr. And that will send Marquette to the foul line here. Less than 30 seconds to play. 8 Big East teams in action. Check that. One more foul will send Marquette to the foul line. But 8 Big East teams in action today. St. John's and Providence playing right now, wrapping things up over on Fox. And then after that, you can catch a huge game. UConn-Creighton.
Yeah, big-time matchup. A fun day of hoops today on Fox.
Marquette, 89 points. And the Golden Eagles shoot 52% and 15 of 31 from downtown. And they got great performances across the board. 3 guys with 14 points. And then Ross and Prosper each chipped in 10 or more.
And then the 24 assists just sums it up. This is a team that's unselfish, excellent passing team, which leads to high percentage shots. And that stat right there tells it all. The best Big East start for Marquette since 2018. And I think it's only going to get better. There's still room to improve.
4-5 against quad 1 teams, and now today 12-0 against the quad 3 and quad 4 teams. That's a mark of a program that is built to win in March. They win the games they're supposed to win. They handled business today on the road at Georgetown, and they've now won 6 out of their last 7 games, bouncing back from that loss against UConn.
Yeah, and I can't say enough about the job Shaka Smart has done this year. And he has certainly made a case to be that coach of the year in the Big East. I know we still have a few more weeks left, but the way they're playing, I can't see them dropping off because they're playing with a lot of confidence. And Tyler Kolek, the point guard, has been fantastic.
5 players in double figures. Kolek was one of those and had a whole bunch of assists to boot, part of that 24 for the team.